Hey there. Good morning. EB here on the Anything But Bland weekly update. Um, I apologize in advance. I'm a little nasally. I had some nose surgery done Tuesday. I had a deviated septum done a couple years ago, about 10 years ago, that kind of failed. And they went in and tried to free up my airway. So if I sound a little nasally, I apologize. And if I have to wipe my nose, I also apologize. Um, really, I just don't know where to begin. There's so much that has happened since I last spoke to you before Thanksgiving. It seemed to be a pretty good Thanksgiving weekend, but all hell has broken loose in Washington. It's every single day now in Washington. We have something new coming from this White House that is very disruptive to our daily lives. It's disruptive to planning financially. It causes a lot of distress. And so let's just jump in. We had the National Guard shooting last week, where two just incredibly courageous National Guardsmen were shot. A young woman who volunteered to work during the Thanksgiving weekend. I think she was 21 years old or 20 years old. She was shot and killed, and another man was shot fighting for his life. And these are uh, just incredibly courageous, brave, valor ridden people that are protecting us. And so I just, my heart goes out for them and everybody else who had to serve and is serving away from their family on extended deployments here in our cities. I am concerned about that. I am concerned about, the interactions that these guardsmen have with citizens, and that it could lead to escalation of violence. The Afghan national who was brought over here after the Afghan war ended, and we deployed and got out of Afghanistan, clearly was troubled, clearly was a terrorist, clearly said, Ali Akbar, reportedly before he shot these people, came across country, was uh, isolated. Even his family said would, for weeks on end, lock himself in his room. Um, you know, we have to really vet these people properly. I totally agree with President Trump. I agree with Kristi Noem to an extent. Um, we can't strip naturalized citizens, though, of their citizenship and deporting immigrants that have values that we consider to be different than the values of America. We are a melting pot, and if we do let these people in and they become citizens, unless they're acting in an unlawful manner, you can't just unilaterally strip their citizenship. Um, Again, this is a tremendous amount of foreign engagement that voters wanted to stop uh, when we now move on to discussing Venezuela. Remember, Trump was reelected because he did not want us to get into foreign wars. He didn't want us to um, impart our American values on the rest of the world, let them do what they want. We are going to make America great again and focus on America. President Trump is focusing on Venezuela, and he's doing it in a major, major way. He obviously doesn't like Maduro staying in power after he lost the election, and I totally agree with that. Maduro is a bad guy. Maduro clearly is running drugs, but as we're going to talk about a pardon that Trump gave to Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was tried in an American court system and convicted, an investigation that started during the Trump administration, number one. And he testified, and there was testimony at trial that he said he was going to stick um, uh, 15 million pounds of cocaine up the noses of the gringos in America to the tune of $15 billion, 730,000 pounds of cocaine he was involved in. He is a narco terrorist. He was convicted properly. Yet Trump gave him a pardon. And the reason he gave him a pardon is he said some very important people that I value their opinion said he's a good guy. This guy was tried and convicted in an American court. So I don't understand how, if we're on this war of drugs and getting rid of narco terrorists like Maduro, who is aiding the terrorists in and bringing cocaine from Colombia through Venezuela, why he would give a pardon to this former president of Honduras who was duly convicted in our court of law. But this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, that Donald Trump said one thing on the campaign trail, and now he is getting America involved in possibly a war with Colombia and a war with Venezuela, which we will win, but will create more terrorist situation. I saw an article that Nancy Mace is thinking of talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene about should she stay in Congress. I saw this morning Nancy Mace said that that was false, that she is never going to leave Congress, even though she is fighting with Mike Johnson, who is the Speaker of the House. The article claimed that she thinks he's anti-female. She is not going to leave. We'll talk about her poll numbers, which are dropping through the floor. She's gone from the low 20% in our gubernatorial race to being fourth behind Alan Wilson, Pam Everett, Ralph Norman, who surpassed her, and now she's at the bottom of the pack, where she belongs, by the way. She is not gubernatorial material. The vitriol that she spews, the hate that she targets to people, and the way that she spoke to people, those hardworking people at the Charleston airport, is indicative of her personality and her character. Character speaks when no one's looking. She didn't realize she was on a camera. That's who she is. Maya Angelou says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe it. Well, I believe it. There will be up to 5,000 INS arrests in Louisiana, not just criminals and drug addicts. Remember, that's what the Border Patrols are. Tom Homan said that he was going to do that. We were just going to kick out the drug addicts, the rapists, the murderers, the drug lords, and the criminals. Now we're going after normal people, just normal people that may not have proper documentation. I saw that students are being picked up and sent back to Honduras. Students who are going to college are being picked up. These are law-abiding people, some who already have proper citizenship and are naturalized, have been wrongfully picked up. I think the public doesn't want this. I think the public is upset about this. I think picking people up off the streets is something that we're not used to. Trump's economic numbers are absolutely dismal. November was the lowest job created month in 2.5 years. In 2.5 years, November. This is almost a year into his administration, after he passed the big, beautiful bill earlier this summer. This is what's happening. And so now the White House is trying to convince him he needs to go out and talk to the public and talk up his economic policies and try to persuade the public that he is equally focused on the United States and our economy as he is on foreign policy. Again, these job numbers, and this is by his own statisticians. Remember, he fired the Bureau of Labor that existed as a holdover from the Biden administration. So these are his people, these are his numbers, and again, these are canary in the coal mine type numbers. Jim Comey and Letitia James, those charges were dropped by Cameron Curry, our district court judge, who is in South Carolina, beyond reproach, highly respected. The only reason that Lindsay Halligan, who brought these charges and came in as a prosecutor, is because all the real prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia didn't want to bring these charges to begin with. They got pushed out. So on top of her incompetence, because she didn't show the right indictment to the grand jury, Lindsay Halligan has been deemed to be a wrongfully appointed Eastern District United States District Attorney. She is a temporary appointment, and her appointment is run out. Same with Alina Habba, who is Trump's other former personal lawyer, who is the temporary U.S. Attorney in New Jersey. An appellate court just ruled that she has exceeded her 120-day temporary appointment, and she has to be appointed by the Senate to continue on. So she is now an illegal operating U.S. attorney as well. The whole Letitia James thing, they're going to bring new charges against her. I don't believe they're going to be able to bring new charges against Comey. because the statute of limitations for his claim has run. It's a dark day, obviously, for the Justice Department. I'm sure they can appeal and they will appeal, but this is shows the incompetence of Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and the entire Justice Department from top to bottom. Trump has been using words this past week that are harken us back to the Holocaust, when he is calling a whole culture or groups of people garbage, human garbage. It dehumanizes people, and we'll talk about the Somali language. But one thing that really was particularly irking to me, and I know a lot of people who have mentally disabled children or family members, he called Tim Walz, who I'm not a big fan of, who's the governor of Minnesota, thought he was a horrible selection. Think that Kamala Harris blew it. She should have chosen Shapiro from Pennsylvania, who now she's lambasting in her book 107 Days. He came out last night and said he never talked about redecorating the vice president's mansion, and he wanted co-equal power. He said that she was full of bunk. But Tim Walz, Trump called retarded. It's a horrible word. We don't use that word anymore. We don't use the word cripple anymore. We use disabled, mentally disabled, physically disabled. This is just language that is offensive to so many people like me that don't even have mentally disabled family members. I just can't believe that the President of the United States would debase the office. I know he doesn't care about how he debases himself, because he doesn't care what people think about him. And he's a scumbag. But as a result, one of the key senators who is supposed to do the redistricting, state senators in Indiana that Trump wants, happens to have a mentally disabled child. And he said, as a result of Trump using the word retarded, he's not going to support the redistricting. So way to go, Donald. Putin wants respect. He wants to come back to the G7. He wants his businesses to come back to Russia. It's never going to have a peace agreement where he gets back in the G7 and this happens. So he's not going to agree to the 19-point plan or 28-point plan or whatever you want to say. The Treasury Treasury Director, as well as the IRS Director, Scott Pellin, he wants to cut off illegal immigrants from tax benefits, and I agree on that. He wants to prevent them from doing cross-border money transfers where they send money back to their home countries. I agree with that too. So I think that would be a good thing. Pete Hegseth is in major, major trouble. He got it on both ends this week. The Signal investigation came out in front of the Inspector General, the Oversight Committee of the Department of Defense, Department of War, whatever you want to call it, and congressional approval when they did the strike in the Middle East. He did it on an unsecure chat line. He revealed classified information that was not declassified. He's trying to say he declassified it during the telephone call. The conclusion of the report was he put our troops in danger and he put the mission in danger, which is exactly what was known from the start. He denied it. He refused to sit for an interview. He gave a written report of his version of it, and they concluded that the head of our Department of Defense or War was speaking in a classified manner on an unclassified line. The guy's got to go. The next thing is he's facing exposure for the double tap where a boat was bombed in Venezuela, one of these drug running boats, allegedly. And there were two people after the bomb went off that were clinging to the side of the boat. Obviously, they are not a danger to anybody. And a second order was put in to take them out. First, Pete Hegseth said he saw the entire video and he supported it. Now he's trying to backtrack and blame it on Admiral Bradley. you never do this in the military. You never blame somebody else. If you are the commanding officer, you take the blame. The morale that is going to degrade as a result of Hegsleff not taking responsibility for the double tap kill. Hey, Eric Elkins, thanks, my brother. Great guy out of Charleston. He's a great, he's in high level insurance, group plans, as well as health insurance. He's also a financial advisor. The guy is really top notch and a long term friend of mine. Pete Hegsleff obviously is kicking Admiral Bradley under the bus. These are what we're trying to do is pigeon a law enforcement operation and say it's a war operation. Congress must declare war. It has to be brought to them. They have to declare war. I get it that this is a war on drugs, but it's not a war on a country. And we're essentially doing a law enforcement operation where we should be getting these people as prisoners once we knock them off the boat and see where the drugs are coming from, where they were supposed to go, so that we could cut the head off the snake, not bomb these people. You cannot do this. Germany did this in World War II. The rules of war are you take them as prisoners of war. You don't kill them once they are disarmed. So it's really going to be a real problem. Trump wants Maduro to either go to Qatar, to UAE, or Saudi Arabia, trying to get him exiled. That would be a great thing. I'm interested to see, though, if Maduro is going to fight. Trump's talking about doing a land war now, going into Venezuela and trying to take out some of the drug cartel factories. That's going to escalate. That's going to create terrorism. Again, I'm anxious to hear from this admiral if he's going to say it was on my order to go in and kill these two people that were hanging onto the boat. You know, Pete Hegsleff is dangerous. He's unqualified. The senators went out on a limb to give Trump what he wanted, but we all knew that he was not qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. Yes, he was a fine soldier. He's a patriot, but he had no executive skills. He has no ability to lead. He was a talking head on Fox News, and his amateur behavior shines through every day. I think he's going to be one of the few cabinet members that are going to have to leave after the first of the year, the anniversary of Trump's first year. I see him going. I see Kristi Noem going. I see Pam Bondi going, and I see a new chief of staff for Susie Wild to go. John Fetterman said, look, you can call us wrong. You can say we're bad at our jobs. You can campaign to replace us. Fetterman said, but you cannot, President Trump, threaten members of Congress ever. That's not how this country is supposed to work. Trump has threatened congressmen that they should be hanged, specifically, the senator from Arizona who's an astronaut and a former pilot, Gabby Giffords' husband. It's bad. The rhetoric that Trump is coming out of his mouth now is bad. He's calling people retards. He's calling women pigly. I just don't understand. The women of America have not spoken up. The women in the House, the women in the Senate, the women in the government, his chief of staff, Karen Leavitt, his press secretary, who's 28 years old, married to a 65-year-old man. How do they tolerate a president of the United States calling a female pigly? And then also he called another female reporter. These are reporters now doing their job. On national TV, he said, "You're ugly. You have an ugly face." Who says that, and who tolerates it, and why does he get away with it? Any other CEO of any other private company would be fired by the board or by their shareholders. Trump has dehumanized Somali people across the board. I don't like Representative Ilhan Omar from Minnesota. I think she's a real problem. I do think that she spews some anti-American beliefs and certainly anti-Israel beliefs. But you can't call people, a wholesale people, human garbage. You can't say every one of them is garbage and that we are going to uh, the people who are naturalized citizens for years and years, living law-abiding lives, that we're going to deport them. This isn't the American way. It's unlawful. He'll never be able to do it. But it just creates more anxiety amongst the people, and it's going to target the Somalians in Minnesota and Michigan for hate crimes. And it's pretty disgraceful. Remember, he called um, Haiti in his first term a shithouse country. Kristi Noem is using language like people are leeches. You can't dehumanize people. You can't call them names that are dehumanizing. Um, so that is something that's troubling. The new Georgia prosecutor who took over for Fannie Willis for the January 6th case, she uh, uh, was discharged because of a conflict of interest. The new prosecutor decided not to go forward with the charges. So again, Trump does not have to answer for what he did on January 6th. There's a number of high-level Department of Justice employees, both attorneys and staff, who are leaving brutal notes ripping Trump and Bondi for causing irreversible damage to the Justice Department. Donald Trump has talked about reversing the pardons and other executive orders that supposedly Joe Biden did with the auto pen. Again, Trump uses the auto pen all the time. Um, Government officials and legal experts have just said that there's no way that he can reverse those. The pardons are going to stick. Trump can bellicose all he wants and use all of his yelling and screaming and his bravado, but again, he is the proverbial Faulkner idiot, full of fury, signifying nothing. Trump has insisted that Biden's use of the auto pen on executive orders during his time in office makes his decisions null. This is not the case, according to a Stanford Law School professor. A sitting president can never invalidate the acts of a previous incumbent. Trump has said that the U.S. land action in Venezuela will take place shortly. Again, I don't understand how we are not questioning all of these pardons that he's doing for these billionaires and for these drug lords and people who have built in investors that Trump keeps giving. He gives them the politicians. He gives them the foreign leaders. It's unbelievable to me. Epstein's brother, we just saw all the photographs that the Democrats released from the House Oversight Committee that the Republicans wouldn't release, of the actual rooms in the Epstein mansion on the islands. And there's crazy sex chamber stuff, dental chairs, and different bondage stuff, and really, really disturbing things in these rooms, obviously, where these massages, quote unquote massages, yeah, right, would take place. Epstein's brother says Trump called his brother after he won the 2016 election, and President Trump had previously claimed that he hadn't spoken to him in 15 years, and he has evidence of that phone call. Pete, supposedly again, Pete Hegseth said, kill everyone. That was the initial order. And so we're going to have to see how that how that shakes out. George Conway, who, again, is a frequent critic of President Trump and head of the Lincoln Project, claims that there's a wide array of criminal charges, including murder, that can be brought against Hegseth and some others who ordered the second double tap order. Trump initially didn't put out the video. When he put out the video of the hit, he didn't show the second hit of the two people who were hanging on the boat getting killed. Robert Kennedy, his hand-picked vaccination committee is coming out today, supposedly with new vaccine guidelines for children regarding hepatitis B and some other vaccines that are going to delay giving them to children, and then tomorrow come out with a new program maybe to eliminate some vaccinations that children are going to get. Folks, we are in for a long road ahead. Look, I think that President Trump's the most dangerous person in our country. I think the second most dangerous person is Robert Kennedy, what he's doing. We're going to have a health crisis over the next 5 years with children getting hepatitis B, carrying it so that they have liver problems and possibly go blind. Right now, our vaccination program is saving at least 2,000 kids a year from getting the deadly hepatitis B vaccine. Um, I really don't understand what is going on with Kennedy. If you listen to the Olivia Nuzzo, who wrote the book, it's clear that he wanted to have an affair with her. It's clear that he smokes this DMT hallucinating drug after he says he's given up drugs. He said that it's not true that he has a parasite worm in his brain, although that's been trafficked back and forth. The Nuzzo book is one. I think it shows how crazy Kennedy is. It doesn't make her look good at all, and I don't see her getting another journalistic job. Um, we have Airbus grounding 6,000 of its planes for an urgent software update. I'm really worried about where we are with the aging fleets that we have and the problems we have with our airplanes. And the more cuts we do to the FAA, who's going to do oversight on these planes and make sure that they need to be either repaired or replaced and taken out of service? Certainly, companies aren't going to do that voluntarily. They're going to try to maximize the use of their airplanes. Um, Trump had people meet with Putin. One of the things that Putin wants and Trump is willing to do is to release billions of dollars that have been frozen in Europe of Russian money. That's not going to happen. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has requested um, a pardon for his long-running corruption trial. Trump, when he was over there and gave a speech to Knesset, suggested that he should be given a pardon. Netanyahu said it would be in the public interest. Um, Trump said to every airline and pilot, drug dealer, and human trafficker that the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela is closed for its entirety. I don't know if he can do that, but it's interesting. Um, Supreme Court last Wednesday barred Donald Trump from firing the director of the United States Copyright Office and runs the Library of Congress. Um, Vladimir Putin said, if we don't get this resolved, I'm ready to go to war with Europe, griping that European leaders have sabotaged the peace talks that are happening with Ukraine. Um, Ex-Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who was the previous Speaker of the House to Mike Johnson, stated that he wants Nancy Mace to get the help that she needs. He blasted her and said that she's one of the least ethical and least respected members of Congress in a scathing takedown on Fox News on Monday this week. He said that she needs help. He thinks that she's not in a position to make rational decisions. Um, the Gallup poll conducted on November 3rd through the 25th said that Trump has a 36% approval rating, which is down from 41% in October. That approaches his lowest approval rating ever, even after the first term, after the January 6th riot. So I know he wants to tout this is fake news, these are fake polls, but it is what it is. You can feel a malaise out there. You can feel it starting, that the people are starting to lose confidence in what he's doing with the economy. And you are starting to see Republicans in the House and the Senate starting to speak out. They are seeing the election results, especially in Tennessee this week, where it was a House race that is absolutely red. Trump won by 22%. A lady who was a far left wacky candidate, she only lost by 8.5%. To a guy that was a stellar candidate for the Republicans, a former military man, pretty sharp guy. So Trump's approval rating fell among Republicans, independents, as well as Democrats. Republicans' rating is the lowest of Trump's second term. It's he is losing independents, he's losing women, and he's losing the young vote, which got him, and the Latin vote, which got him elected. Um, the same day that it came out that Trump is going to try to repeal all the documents signed by President Biden with an auto pen. He also threatened to bring up Biden on charges of perjury if he asserts that staffers were acting on his orders. Um, a Reagan appointed judge, Mark Wolf, retired. Remember, judges, Article 3 federal judges are appointed for life. Um, he said he can't take it anymore. He sees that the rule of law is being attacked, that the judiciary is constantly being attacked by both Trump, the Justice Department, as well as cabinet officials. And he said he's never seen anything like it, that law firms are being prevented from doing the work that they're supposed to do and representing their clients. He's saying we're creating an autocracy. J.D. Vance suffers a major blow as Donald Trump edges closer to him in the Trump Jr. edges closer to him in the 2028 presidential polls. J.D. Vance was pounding the table at the cabinet meeting, which Trump was falling asleep at, and that's okay. I mean, the guy works hard. But don't say that you don't, Biden's Sleepy Joe when you fall asleep in the meetings. It was another love fest for him with his cabinet employees. And J.D. Vance was pounding the table when Trump said, we're going to deport people who are already citizens of our country. Lane Kiffin is the new coach of LSU. He left on bad terms with Mississippi. It was bound to happen everywhere he's gone, whether it's USC, whether it's Tennessee, whether he went to Alabama to be the coordinator, and then he left under a little bit of tension with Nick Saban. He's done a great job at Mississippi. He was making $9.5 million a year. He's now going to make $12 million a year. He's going to be the second highest paid coach behind Kirby Smart of Georgia. They're going to give him $25 million of NIL money. He's probably going to take a lot of the staff of University of Mississippi. I absolutely do not blame them for not letting him coach. That would have been a dry rehearsal for him to be LSU, and bringing coaches and recruiting his locker room and getting recruits from Mississippi to come to LSU. It's just, he had to go. And I feel bad for the kids. But look, kids get in the portal and they leave the program, so coaches, they have the right to it too. I learned that Dolph Lundgren, who was in Rocky IV, broke Rocky's ribs during the fighting scenes, and Sylvester Stallone was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And by the way, Dolph Lundgren, who just survived cancer, is a PhD in engineering. Very smart guy. You guys have to watch the A-Rod special on HBO Max. It's a 3-part series on Alex Rodriguez. It is so good. Mayor of Kingston is unbelievable. The Beast in Me, Claire Danes, and Netflix is one of the best series I've seen in a long time. Death by Lightning is a series that talks about Garfield, the president, Chester Garfield was assassinated 90 days into his presidency by a guy named Guiteau. It shows Chester Arthur as well as Conklin, who was a senator from New York. Great stuff. I'm also watching the Ken Burns special on PBS about the Revolutionary War, learning tons of stuff. And we finished Task, the series on HBO, which is great. Fuzzy Zeller died at 74 years old. He was one of the last people to win the Masters under his first time there in a 3-man playoff in 1979. He famously waved the white towel at Wingfoot in 1984 to Greg Norman, who beat him, only to defeat Norman in an 18-hole playoff the next day. I mean, Norman got into the playoff, but he's best remembered for a horrible statement he made after Tiger Woods won the Masters in 1997 for the first time. And he was talking about the Masters dinner the following year that the champion from the previous year will have. And he said he probably is going to serve fried chicken, collards, watermelon or whatever it is they serve. They meaning black people. That was a horrible thing. The Bears this year are amazing. They've won 10 straight games. The coach that came over from the offensive coordinator from the Lions is doing a great job. Uh, their quarterback, Caleb Williams, is having a great year. The Patriots, the same way. They've lost 2 games. Mike Vrabel, their coach, is doing a great job. Drake May, their quarterback, is doing a great job. The Chiefs remain a very dangerous team, folks. They are very dangerous. The Eagles are going down. I don't see them doing it again this year. I think Jalen Hurts is not the same quarterback. Saquon Barkley is not the same running back. There's too much locker room discord with the wide receiver, A.J. Brown. Their new offensive coordinator stinks, losing their Kellen Moore, who became the coach of the New Orleans Saints and was their offensive coordinator last year. That loss has been instrumental. Morgan Freeman is 88 years old. I don't think we're going to see the likes of him anymore in future actors. Guys like Sam Elliott, Anthony Hopkins, these are guys that are once in a lifetime type actors. USC Clemson was a good game. USC lost. It's going to be interesting to see whether Lenore Sellers comes back, who Shane Beamer picks as his offensive coordinator. They're obviously going to lose the wide receiver going into the pros. I think USC has a really rough couple years ahead of them, and I see Shane Beamer not remaining the coach much further. The Iron Bowl was great. Kalen Boer made an amazing call to go for a touchdown on the 5-yard line with a 4th and 1 instead of kicking a field goal. That was a gutsy move. He's just, I think, a good coach and turning out to be a good coach. Chip Kelly now was fired as the offensive coordinator from the Los Angeles Raiders. He's mentioned as a candidate for the Auburn program. The NFL has a lot of cast-off quarterbacks that are now the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Daniel Jones for the Indianapolis Colts. He was, a Giants Danny Dime quarterback, he was called. Then he went to Minnesota. Now he's doing great for the Colts. Matt Jones, he was a cast-off from the Patriots. He did well while Purdy was out, Brock Purdy. And, of course, we have Sam Darnold, who has more wins in the NFL in the last 2 years with the Vikings and the Seahawks than any other quarterback. And he's was a cast-off from the Giants. And, of course, you have Baker Mayfield, who's doing great for the Buccaneers, who was cast off from the Browns to the Rams to the Panthers, and now he's with the Buccaneers. So Will Stein, who was the Oregon's offensive coordinator, is going to replace Mark Stoops, who was fired in Kentucky. Jada Pinkett Smith told Will Smith's friend that he would end up missing if he continued sharing personal business. So she threatened a friend of Will Smith. Mike Tomlin, they're starting to say maybe he's going to leave the Steelers and become the next Giants quarterback coach. Vanderbilt, Tennessee was great. Vanderbilt beat Tennessee in the rivalry game last week. Clark Lee has gotten an extension. He's a great coach. I think Vanderbilt should make the 12-team playoffs. According to the 247 composite rankings, Curtis is the number 1 overall quarterback, Jared Curtis, and he may end up going to Vanderbilt to replace Dino Pavia. That would be unbelievable. The number 1 player in the nation. I saw a story that really broke my heart. A woman was flying on the plane. She was a somewhat overweight woman, but she had been taking Ozempic and lost 60 pounds. She was sitting in the seat, and a man came and sat next to her. She looked at his eyes, and he saw that he was going to have to sit next to a woman that was, somewhat heavy, but pretty, beautiful face. And he wrote a text message, which she saw, to a friend that said, "Oh my God, huge woman sat next to me. she started crying. Obviously, the man knew she saw what he had written on the text message, um, and we just need to be nicer to people, folks. People are doing the best they can. Hard times, whether it's economic, personal. Some people are overweight. Some people are not. Some people are trying to lose weight. They're doing Ozempic. Look, Ozempic is such a good thing. It's amazing, but it's not the only way to lose weight. You can do it with diet and exercise, but um, some people are taking Ozempic too far. I saw some pictures of LaToya Jackson this week that really scared me. Stick thin, even Amy Schumer, the comedian, she's doing it. Now the White House is turning their sights to Sabrina Carpenter after they have lambasted Taylor Swift. They used her song Juno. In an ICE video that they were doing, an ICE raid video. She said, please do not use my lyrics. Instead of the White House apologizing for using her song without her consent, they doubled down and said, I guess you have a problem with the good immigration work we're doing. Trump said he wanted a Rush Hour 4 movie to be done, and lo and behold, he told this to the studios, and they're going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot have a president of the United States dictating to Hollywood the type of movies they should make, the type of news they should be doing, whether it's Jimmy Kimmel or whatever. The doctor who sold the ketamine to Friends star Matthew Perry rightfully got 2.5 years in prison. If it's par for the course, Trump's going to pardon the guy. He pardons drug cartel leaders who sell billions and billions of pounds of cocaine to the United States. Eldon Campbell, who was a center for Clemson University in the 80s and played for in the NBA for 15 years, won a championship with the Lakers, and was with the Pistons in their championship in 2004. He died. And then finally, I'm going to take some personal privilege. There's a guy named Jim Seidel. I hate giving talking about somebody who is insignificant, just a really bad person. He does this crime and cast thing. He's been using my photos and to promote his books and other commercial endeavors. The guy's got a very dubious background. He's saying some bad things about me. He needs to stop because he's messing with the wrong guy. I have the ability to sue him, and that's what is ultimately going to probably take place because he's invading my privacy and he's usurping my likeness for his own commercial endeavors. So that is the weekly update. We covered a lot of territory. I want everybody to have a great weekend, rest of the week. And if you want to learn more about my firm, go to www.blandrichter.com. If you want to buy my book, Anything But Bland, it's available on Amazon. If you get it, I will sign it, send it to me. I will send it back to you with an inscription and a personal message. Ashley Kim said the reduced vaccine schedule is going to drive up healthcare costs in addition to public health crisis. I totally agree. It'll be interesting to see if these vaccinations are still available on the public if the parents want them to get them. Valerie Howery said for me to have a great weekend. I hope she does too. So with that, EB out.